welcome to the Zadzooks Happy Hour, a podcast providing commentary on the latest in film, TV, games, and comics. My name is Todd Stoll, and I'm joined by 25-year veteran reporter covering pop culture, video games, and technology for the Washington Times, Joseph Zadkowski.
Why did you do that?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No. Hello? Okay, that's working.
Check.
How goes? How was your weekend?
We're still in the middle of it.
Wasn't windy and didn't take out fences?
No. I cut up the tree that took out the fence, so I'm good there. We're back to normal.
You got your chainsaw on?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
It's good.
Very good. Congrats. Should we break into our Oscar picks?
Sure.
Now that the Oscars are
You're
over?
so excited.
Not really, because we both didn't do very well.
It's because I was a Star Wars person. If I had just actually paid attention to you instead of went Star Wars.
It didn't matter because
I would have had those two.
In visual effects and production design, we both got them wrong.
Blade Runner 2049,
yeah,
right?
We both picked Blade Runner for production design. You picked The Last Jedi for visual effects. I picked Guardians.
Right.
We were both wrong. So it didn't really matter. Sound editing, we were wrong. We said we was either going to be Star Wars or Blade Runner. It was Dunkirk. Right?
Was it Dunkirk?
I don't remember now.
Blade Runner 2049 won 2 Oscars.
Yeah, it won
Costuming?
for cinematography.
No, it didn't.
Well, Dunkirk didn't win it. All right. How about we do the ones that are right, and then we'll go back through it, okay? So, Best Picture, I picked 3 Billboards. You picked Shape of Water. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Although, I don't think it should have won.
Why?
Well, now they're arguing that the screenplay was an original.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Lead actor, we both get a victory there with Gary Oldman. You lost the lead actress with Margot Robbie. I picked Frances McDormand. Best supporting actor, Sam Rockwell. We both got that right. Supporting actress, you picked Laurie Metcalf. I wanted her to win, but I knew Allison Janney was going to win, so I get the victory there. Director, Guillermo del Toro. Sorry. I had a brain fart there for a second. We both had that. Animated feature, Coco. We both had that. That was correct. Screenplay, Get Out. We both had that. Cinematography, we both picked Dunkirk. We were wrong. Film editing, we picked Dunkirk. We were right. And then sound editing, sound mixing, production design, and visual effects, we were wrong. So,
well, next year I'm going to actually take my time and get this right.
Well,
because I'm usually very good at this.
We should really screen some of the other ones. So I won barely with a 8-6, whereas you were 7-7, but you were still 50%.
Right.
That's not terrible.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
could have been worse.
I could do better.
Yeah. At least I do feel somewhat okay in the fact that we lost in the sound editing and mixing because that is such nonsense. Those two categories.
Right.
And also, these things, I don't know what it is, but these things, shouldn't they be during the technical awards, like the night before? Do they really need to be a part of the main Oscars?
No.
I mean, come on.
And just bloat the program another 40 minutes?
What I do like is that I don't have to watch it, and then the next day I can just watch the winners on YouTube.
That's right.
It's brilliant.
You don't have
Best
to sit through
thing
that
ever.
whole craziness.
So, there you have it. Clearly, we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Half the time.
But a stamp of approval.
Half the time.
Which is pretty normal.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
So I feel good about that. We talked last week about the Razzies and the big winner being the Emoji Movie.
Yeah.
And
you just couldn't stop. You had to watch it.
I had to see if it was
worse than
worse
watch
than
a train wreck.
I said I would watch it to see if it was worse than Masterminds. Now, this was a horrible animated movie. Horrible. The animation was fine. It was like Sony animation. They've done stuff before. It looked fine. But, just the story was it fell apart.
What's with the poop?
It's Patrick Stewart.
So what's he doing?
No, so here's the thing. The premise of the movie is that they live inside the phone.
Okay.
They live specifically inside the messaging app.
Okay.
And it's a part of like an 8th grader's, or like a 12-year-old's phone.
Okay.
Essentially. And so they live in a world where if you're a good enough emoji, you can be put inside a block. And then when the kid goes to use his messaging app, the block might point at you and scan you, and then you get a copy of you gets output as a message. The lead character is the meh emoji. but he's got something wrong with him, and he can laugh and turn like bright red, and he can. They think there's something wrong with him.
He can change into different emojis.
So they go to try to delete him, and his friend, the talk to the hand emoji, which isn't used anymore,
right?
Voiced by James Corden of the Late Late Show. Go on an adventure to find a hacker to try to help this emoji fix
Well, how do they
himself.
go on an adventure?
They leave the app
and they sneak around cyberspace,
and they go into the wallpaper, and then they can walk between worlds. At that point, I said nope, and I stopped the movie about halfway through and said this is garbage because
where's the poop?
I mean, that's
the whole point.
He's there.
He's just one of them.
He's just one of them, and he's got a little kid who's training to be like his replacement, and it's just dumb, really, really, really dumb.
Did your kids watch it with you?
No,
okay,
because they probably would love it and want to watch it over and over and over again, but it was really dumb, and I get why.
Yeah, but you just explained the whole point of the movie.
I didn't
right
because
there.
I didn't finish it. I couldn't.
No, your kids would watch it over and over again.
I'm not even. To be honest with you, I'm not even sure.
Okay.
It just didn't feel like it was going anywhere. And so it was a horrible movie. It deserved the Razzies.
Right.
Shame on Patrick Stewart. I mean, come on.
I am sure his agent somehow got him convinced that this was a big one.
Well, yeah, I guess. Because
Animation-wise.
it's animation and you'll make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Is it worse than Masterminds? I mean, the animation was good.
Right.
Masterminds, the acting was terrible, and the movie was awful. So I got to believe that while they're pretty close, I think Masterminds still takes it because it's real people and not an animator. And you can make people look good with animation. It just means the story sucks. It's sort of like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I kind of hated that movie.
I was all right with that movie.
The second one was awful.
Right.
I fell asleep in the theater.
Now, Kristin Wiig was in Masterminds, right?
She was.
Okay.
They're doing something really terrible with her career. She's got to get new agents or somebody or new people because, like, what she's doing, she's better than that.
Well, she just signed on as Cheetah for Wonder Woman.
Well, there goes Wonder Woman.
Yeah, exactly. Jim Carrey plus Riddler equals.
But do you think that Nicholson really helped
emoji
Batman?
Poop.
Do you think he was he a good Joker?
He was pretty good. He was a good Joker.
And Schwarzenegger also ruined it.
Well, he was no help.
Mr. Freeze.
Okay, but the Jim Carrey Riddler had Two-Face, Tommy Lee Jones.
Mm-hmm. And Tommy Lee Jones he was good as Two-Face.
Right.
Not as good as, I would say, Aaron Eckhart.
No. Was a totally different idea for
yeah,
a movie.
But, I mean, they painted him out to be like the 1960s Batman Riddler.
Right.
With, like, the spandex suit
Frank
and
Gorshin.
the question mark. Yeah, it didn't work.
So what are they going to do with Kristin Wiig? She's going to be all of a sudden serious?
I've just never seen her in, like, any... I mean, she was in the Skeleton Twins.
Yeah, that was serious.
Which, I mean, she had Bill Hader to play off of. She's never really been in, like, this sort of, like, action-style... Blockbuster movie, and maybe it's there for her. Maybe.
I don't think so.
You think...
We'll see.
But I mean,
they
Gal
Gadot
has got to be able to help her rein it in.
That's true.
I mean, listen, it's great that it's going to be a female villain in a female movie directed by a female director.
Right.
It's all good stuff.
Yep.
But I don't know. So, yeah, I couldn't unwatch that, unfortunately. I did say I would do it because I'm sort of a glutton for punishment when it comes to bad movies.
You did it, didn't you?
And I did, and I regret every minute of it, but it is what it is. So, you want to take a break, and then we can talk about these gems?
Well, they are gems.
Yes, in their own way.
You're not being sarcastic.
No, not at all.
They're both Oscar winners.
Well, absolutely. Although, not the movies, right? Just the people in the movies.
Just the people.
Yeah.
Well, no. Wait.
Did
Darkest Hour win something else?
Let's go back and look when we take a break.
All right.
Communities Digital News, built by the writers and editors that deliver the news 24 hours a day. Visit comdiginews.com. That's COMMDIGI news.com. And support the next evolution in news.
Oh, my knee. Why me? Why me?
Do you remember that?
I do. 90.
It was intense.
96?
94.
94. Right. 94.
It was the U.S. Figure Skating Championship that led to the Winter Olympic Games.
Yes.
Where it happened.
Yes.
At the Figure Skating Championships.
Correct.
Right.
And I remember, I believe in 94, weren't the games in the U.S.?
You got me.
All I remember is it just dominated the news for weeks, it seemed like. Like, all of a sudden, overnight, Tonya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan were, like, household names about, you know...
Well, it was very...
A hit.
OJ-esque.
Yeah. Well,
there was just this weird, improbable thing that happened, with the only difference being that Tonya and her minions were just stupid.
Well, they're like white trash.
Well,
like trailer trash.
I'm not going to say that. Well, you could say that.
Okay, well, that's what it seemed like when watching her in the courtroom and everything else, and the bumbling, like the fat, heavy-set guy.
Bumbling is a good
like
word.
Her bodyguard and his friend and
Sean Eckhart, who couldn't have been funnier during the Diane Sawyer interviews.
Oh my goodness!
And that's real because at the end of the movie, right, they show. It's sad.
The thing is there's so much. This is like, what was that other movie that we reviewed recently where like they kept reminding you at the bottom of the screen, remember, this is still based on a true movie. Because it's bonkers. It's crazy. And the thing is I guess, I mean, I would have been 13, 14 years old when this happened. So, I mean, definitely knew what was going on.
Right.
But I guess I didn't really know sort of the details of it. And I don't think that they really covered a lot of her backstory in the news that much.
No, that was what was great about this film. Director Craig Gillespie and the story focused on mother-daughter a lot. I mean, there's a little section with the husband, but essentially it's a mommy dearest gone really wrong.
Well, it's almost like a road trip movie with mom and daughter.
Man.
And there's a reason why Allison Janney won the Academy Award.
She's scary in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, Margot Robbie
did a great job.
Definitely deserved to be nominated without a doubt. I mean, her competition, I don't think she would have made it there, but she definitely took the role of Tonya Harding.
Hey, and look, she did her own triple axel jump, so... No, she didn't.
I mean...
She didn't.
She can say that as much as she wants, but she knows that she didn't.
The featurettes...
I know.
It's cool. It's cool the way they did it. They had to replace her face with another skater.
Yeah, she was pretty adamant about that she could skate.
She could skate. Basic stuff.
And
she wasn't doing any of the jumps.
And that... she even did this interview where she sort of said, like, a lot of people have embellished how long I'd been training for this.
Right.
But it really wasn't that long, and I fell a lot, and it was pretty grueling, and everyone was like, oh, she had months to prepare, and she's like, not really, because they expected quite a bit out of me, and I couldn't do it. So, yeah, they just
bring in another skater, superimpose
my face on another person, and you know, I got to give the production people credit. They did a good job with it. It's when I first watched the movie, the one thing that I noticed on the back of the screen, on the back of the jewel case, was funny as hell. You'll laugh till it hurts. And at the end, I was like, I didn't find this funny at all.
No, I didn't find that. What was going on funny? My mouth was aghast most of the time.
Think about this: if they had just made a random movie where this character was fake, it wouldn't really matter. Allison Janney was terrifying.
Yes,
like scary, terrifying. And Sebastian Stan, I just
Bucky Barnes.
See, I can't look at him. Like he was in Logan Lucky for a very small. He's like a race car driver,
right?
And I see him, and I'm like, oh, look, it's the Winter Soldier.
Well, the good news was I didn't recognize him.
I know.
So I watched it for a while, and I was like, man, this is cool. And this husband looks just like Galooly. Wow, great job.
Oh, really? I noticed it right away.
And then I went, oh, and I had to look it up, find out who it was.
Oh,
so
see, I
that
noticed
didn't
it right
ruin
away.
it for me.
I noticed it right away. I like this movie. I just, at the end, I thought this guy in the back obviously thought this was a comedy, and it wasn't.
So don't read reviewers.
No. I don't know that it's also necessarily the Goodfellas of figure skating either.
Sure it is.
I mean, not really.
I guess there's no real
Think
mob
about
thing going
Goodfellas and how brutal
on.
that was.
Yeah, this was not that brutal.
This is more of somebody having to go to unnecessary lengths to win.
That's right.
And doing it in the shadiest of possible ways.
Right. And an overbearing, abusive mother that pretty much put her in that position.
And an abusive husband as well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
he's the worst.
all in all, yeah. I mean, and the fact that she spent a lot of time with the real Tonya Harding, I guess because she's Australian, maybe she doesn't really know the whole backstory, but that must have been really kind of odd and creepy to be around her, because she was a weird one.
But Tonya never admits to knowing this.
It doesn't, whether she admits it or not, she
Right.
went to jail for it.
She did not go to jail.
I thought she was convicted.
She got community service.
That's right. But she was.
She would have preferred to gone to jail because they took away her ability to skate.
Yes, she cannot. She's like barred
Right.
from the U.S. Olympic figure skating team and the U.S.
That's
figure
right.
for life.
So, but it's not a funny movie.
It's not a fun movie.
It's a
let's put
dark comedy.
It's not really a comedy. It's a dark biopic,
Yes,
if you will. So what's your score here?
I liked it. B+.
Yeah, I'll go with that. B+.
Yeah.
Solid B+. Got anything else you want to add about it? Or you want to take a break and reset for...
No, I'm good.
I'm
ready.
You want to move right into it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, the last... Another Oscar...
Winner.
Nominated... You can't really say film. I guess you could. Was Darkest Hour a Best Picture nominee?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then Oscar nominated.
Yeah.
With Gary Oldman, who wins for Best Actor, and they won for Best Makeup as well. So this has a couple Oscar wins to it.
And this movie always confused me because around the same time this movie came out, there was another movie out called Churchill with Brian Cox as Churchill.
Yeah.
That covered the Normandy invasion part.
Yeah, well, notice that one went nowhere.
The problem is, it's a pretty good movie. It really is.
I mean, this one got swept under the rug. So this made $138 million.
Yeah.
Nothing to sneeze at. This sort of is it's the rise of
his first 5 weeks in office,
right,
as the prime minister.
It's taking over as the Nazis are sort of knocking on the door of invasion of England.
His first big problem is he's got Dunkirk.
Yes.
So you're right in the middle of that entire thing, and
he's not very well liked.
It's amazing how caustic and sarcastic he is. If that is the real Churchill, which I believe it is.
I mean, I would assume that there's enough. I mean, there has to be some video footage of him.
Oh, yeah. There's tons.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
and there's all of his speeches.
Of
I
course.
got all those.
Of course. We were just looking at something that said that he was a mass murderer. And I think that's
it's stretching it a bit.
I mean, I guess when you're if you're the leader and you're in war and you're having to do what it takes to survive, then I guess that label is theoretically true. But
I think they focus at some point on his firebombing campaigns, which, I mean, come on. You're fighting literally fire with fire because Adolf had no problems doing lots of really bad things.
Yeah.
So give me a break. Anyway, I found the movie at points is really, as tense as it was, funny. His wife is great.
Yeah. I mean,
is fantastic.
Well, she's an Academy Award nominee, Kristin Scott Thomas.
I actually pinpoint a couple of moments. Do you remember when he's sitting alone in front of this big table and his wife walks in and he just looks at her and goes, "Leave me alone." And what does she say? The opportunity for doing so has passed a long time ago, which is a great line.
I'm glad you fixed on that. I don't really recall like very specific points to the movie.
I love World War II history. So again, the meeting with King George, and Neville Chamberlain, or King George talking to Churchill, and Neville Chamberlain asserting that, Churchill's wrong a lot, but he's occasionally right. And King George saying, well, even a stopped clock is right twice a day. Very clever. I love the clever. So this movie was very good for me.
That actually happened.
And it won for great makeup because he looked like Churchill.
It's amazing.
I'm going to butcher the guy's name. Kazuhiro Tuji.
I'll go with that. Sure, that sounds right. Whatever works for you.
Now, it's not completely historically accurate, which could annoy people. It'll annoy the amateur historians, especially that scene where he's meeting in the on the subway with all the people.
There's a lot of things
that didn't happen.
I mean, the problem is that you can't to make a historically accurate film
isn't necessarily the most exciting
and have it be entertaining. No, right. I mean, you have to suspend belief and assume that maybe that did happen. He's that type of guy that would have done that.
Now, what I would have watched is Gary Oldman doing this in like a 10-part miniseries because he was so good. I would have sat there and watched multiple hours of this, many, many, many hours of this.
So I always get really confused because I know Bryan Cranston did LBJ on Broadway for a while, and then he brought it into a movie. Did Gary Oldman do the same thing with this?
No.
With this? No, he didn't.
Not at all.
Okay.
And the other thing I liked about this movie was the lighting. I don't know if you noticed it often, but it was really well done. Mm-hmm. Churchill going to meet King George with those light cuts coming through him as he's walking up the hallway.
So here's the real question for you, and I know obviously you couldn't really tell because we didn't have a 4K UHD version of this, but how do you think the makeup would have held up with that kind
under
of
4K UHD?
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe that's why they didn't release it in 4K, because they didn't release it in 4K.
Wonder why not. I thought it was sort of standard to release most movies now with 4K.
Yeah. Nope.
Well, I, Tonya is the same way.
Tonya was not released in 4K either. So,
but we know what was Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. Much to my pleasure.
Again, I for me, this movie's like a B+. It's not a Dunkirk, which I think we gave an A.
Yeah. Well, I'm giving it an A-. The only problem I have with this release is there is no features after it.
Yeah.
It's tiny.
Becoming Churchill, feature commentary with director Joe Wright, and Into Darkest Hour, which didn't really do much for me.
Thankfully, they gave me the optional commentary track, because if they didn't, it would have been hard to really give it what I gave it. But Mr. Wright is great, and I loved listening to him for the 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it was good. A-.
Okay. B+ for me.
Dead silence.
Anything else you want to talk about?
So I'm watching something on Netflix about session musicians.
Okay.
So just stick with me for a second. And what it's showing is basically guys that are willing to go and play in other bands fronted by amazing people, and they have no problem doing it. For example, like Alice Cooper always hires session musicians now to come in and do his tour, and I've seen the guys. Or anything, any major group that's led by one major guy,
right.
They'll usually might have some. So anyway, the thing that bothered me about this was they show great, like Kenny Aronoff, who's a great drummer. Mm-hmm. He's had a great career. He worked with John Cougar Mellencamp, John Fogerty, whole bunch of guys. There is a drummer for Billy Joel named Liberty DeVito. Mm-hmm. And apparently the way Billy works is he had a band together for like 3 decades, and one day he just decided he didn't want to be with the band anymore, and the entire band just got told via like radio interviews, like they weren't even called, that they're no longer in the band.
Whoops.
But Liberty remained, who's a great drummer. And then one day, Billy just got tired of Liberty and dumped Liberty. And I just think it's like a really crappy thing to do.
Well, especially yourself as a drummer.
Yeah. Well, anything to do something like that.
Yeah, it's always...
What's wrong with that guy?
What I always find really interesting is that you have bands, and then you have a band member that leaves, so they've got to bring somebody else in, and they bring somebody who's not a part of the band, but I guess they are technically session players, right?
Yeah.
Or they're touring members, which
right. But Liberty DeVito was
a member,
founding member
right,
of
whatever.
It's like Springsteen dumping his band. Would you ever think Bruce would do that?
Well, look at AC/DC. Dumping.
Yeah, but there's some circumstances around there, like the guy's death. You know, like the lead singer, right?
Well, it was his voice,
right?
But he said I need to just take a break for a couple months and just before I blow my voice out. And they're like, "Nah, we're just gonna get another lead singer."
I know, and there's like Steve Perry not going
with
to
Aerosmith,
Journey.
Yes, Steve Perry,
and the lead singer Styx not working out quite the same way.
Or look at Aerosmith and
Joe Perry. But I found this to be very sad. So I watched it. I was entertained throughout but I found it...
Did you need to take some Xanax afterwards?
I found it unbelievable that he would toss this guy. Because he's good. I saw him. I saw him in concert. And Billy Joel has more than enough money to not be a jerk.
But I think they all do it. I mean, McCartney, he's had the same drummer. I'm sure you know that drummer.
Yes.
You've seen him before.
Yes.
But a lot of the other guys, I think he just kind of picks guys that he likes for a while and just is like, oh, I'm going to move on.
So anyway, it's scattered. I didn't mean to bring it up, but it really bothered me when I watched it last night.
It's interesting.
It just annoyed the crap out of me that he would dump that guy.
So the X-Files got a little weird. They did a weird futuristic episode.
Is it good?
It was actually okay. It was based upon everything sort of being controlled via AI. And so like they go into a sushi bar.
So it was a what if episode?
No, not at all. It was like Mulder and Scully are in a sushi bar. They're not talking and they're on their phone. They punch stuff into... It's one of those restaurants that's not manned by anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And they punch it, all the food comes in, but Mulder gets the wrong order, and he goes into the back room, and there's a robot there, and it's got red eyes, and he goes to check out, and he puts no tip, and it won't let go of his credit card, and then he pounds on the thing, and then the computers start going haywire, and the whole premise is that because he won't give a tip to this one thing, it controls all these other things, like Uber driverless and like all these other services, until eventually, like, they're being chased by drones. Scully's house is blown up by a Roomba.
Is this a cartoon or is this the actual?
Okay. This is a real X-Files episode, and I was like, well, guys, you don't have that many left because she's not coming back for any more.
Yeah.
So we're wasting some time here to close this one out for good.
And did we talk about Carl?
We talked about Carl,
okay,
a little bit, and
so the only reason.
You watched it just
I
to
didn't watch. I watched it to see that happen.
And how bad
Thank you, Mr. Gumple.
And how bad was it?
It was terrible.
Yeah,
it was absurd.
I heard that the...
Now, Carl was fantastic in Robot Chicken. There's a special Walking Dead Robot Chicken, which I think I'm going to make you watch because you'll be very entertained by it.
Right.
But it's a future old man Carl. And
hilarious.
Voiced by the actor.
Chandler Riggs.
Yeah. Actually, all the actors voiced their parts in this Robot Chicken. 22 minutes of hilarity.
Well, my understanding is that what is his name? Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah.
Was like very vocal that he was like, I am not okay with this timeline.
Right.
I'm not. This is really stupid what they're doing here.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
So you got to believe his days are numbered.
Well, we know that.
Well, I mean, but Negan is around. He's in jail.
He's in jail, right.
So what are they going to do? They're going to not jail him and they're just going to kill him outright?
Why not?
The show's done,
Gimple
man.
can do whatever he wants.
I got to say, that show's jumped the shark.
Yep.
I'm
officially.
I'm done with it.
I can't watch it anymore.
It's like I'm waiting for them to insert the clip of the fawns literally jumping a shark, and then that'll be it for me.
All you need to do is watch the Robot Chicken episode,
Okay.
and you'll be much happier with your...
That's fine. That's fine, because I won't watch The Walking Dead anymore.
Right, you'll get a kick out of
I'm
it.
really done with it. So, all right, what are we doing next week? What do you got?
I think we're going with Justice League.
All right.
Get ready, man. Strap in. It's no Thor Ragnarok. I'll just bring that up right off the bat.
All right, and maybe Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
See ya.